Okay, so we've got our scenario set up as the Thistletop Delve, and hopefully this will go better than our last scenario. So we are using our characters that are upgraded that we've been building over the last week. This is the last scenario of the new expansion.
Adventure Pack 1.
Yeah, Adventure Pack 1. So hopefully everything will go better than our last scenario. I left our boss, I would say boss monster, out so I could show you who we're going up against. And she seems to be pretty stout with a combat of 12, and then if you beat that you have to beat her at a combat of 14. So it's like she respawns and you have to beat it for 14. Okay, so I still need to pull our henchmen, and then we'll deal them in there, and then we'll
we got a Goblin Raider, Auric, and Fiery.
Yeah. And so we'll take these, all 4 of these, put them together, and then we're gonna mix them up. And we're going to put one on each deck. And we're going to go ahead and shuffle these. And in the throne room, we have 2 monsters, 1 barrier, 2 weapons, 1 spell, 1 armor, and 2 items. And then in Thessalonian Dungeon, we have 2 monsters, 1 barrier, 1 weapon, 3 spells, 1 armor, and 1 item, 0 allies, 0 blessings. Same on the throne room, there's no blessings or allies. And then in the Warrens, we have 2 monsters, 1 barrier, 2 weapons, 1 spell, 0 armor, 1 item, 2 allies, 0 blessings. In Goblin Fortress is 3 monsters, 1 barrier, 1 weapon, 0 spell, 0 armor, 2 items, and 2 allies, and 0 blessings. So blessing wise, I'm not looking forward to this one because I thrive on the blessing.
Speaking of blessings, we don't have the blessing deck out.
Yeah. And that's only used for the 30-second timer, but we go ahead and shuffle it because the cards that are still in a box may be randomly put into the game when we run into the villain, which if we run into the villain, we'll explain that when that happens. But right now we're both going to go to the Goblin Fortress. Any goblin that we come across has to increase by 2 to defeat.
We also shuffle the blessings because the Blessing of the Gods can let you mimic the top card of the blessing deck. So
we'll see what I get here. I got my weapon, blessing, item, nice, armor. Okay, so my monk, and you did get a spell, okay.
I did.
And favorite card type is an item, which is right there on the edge of the card. I get my thumb out of the way. And that means that if in my beginning hand, if I didn't have this item, I'd have to wash this whole hand, lose that 4 pieces of health, and then have to draw again until I got an item. Anna's is the same way, except for hers is for a spell. She got 2 spells, so we don't have to worry about her having to discard her hand, and hers is more crucial because her hand is a hand of 6. So she would have lost 6 health right at the beginning. But we're all good. So we'll start the timer. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
So Anna will go first.
Now explore my location. Oh. Enchanter. Now the difficulty is increased by the adventure deck number. We're actually in adventure deck 1, so she's gonna, instead of an 8, she'll be now a 9. Yeah. But before the encounter, she deals 1 force damage to me. And then she'll also deal damage at the end of the encounter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Frost Ray. And this is going to let me use my arcane die, which is a D12. Well, my arcane die is charisma +2. Charisma is D12, plus I have it checked off from gaining skill feats later on as a 2. So D12 +2 and +2. So I automatically have 4 to start out with. And this one's going to let me roll my arcane die, which is that 12. So that's 1. So that's 5. And then 2 D6s. 6, 7, 8, 5. What? 9. That's 9. So 10. I beat her. And she's also going to deal me another damage. And I'm going to use my mirror image. I get to roll a D4. And anything other than a 1, I don't take another damage. So she goes away. These two, because of I have an ability that automatically lets me succeed to check to recharge a spell. And so these two I get to recharge and put them at the bottom of my character deck. And I get to redraw back up. Worked out in my favor because I got another one of my spells that let me do damage. And that's the end of my turn. And so Tim's going to turn over the top card of the blessing deck.
And that's what will start my first turn. And then I'll go in here. And I actually get to go against a goblin snake. Now, I read the FAQs on this, and it doesn't say goblin trait right here, but it has goblin in its name. So it is considered a goblin trait because of the goblin snake. So,
and we're in the Goblin Fortress.
Yes, so this +2 does apply to the snake, even though it's not listed over here. I checked the FAQs earlier today to clarify it, and it is does have a goblin trait. And you can see it clearly in the picture, so you do add 2 to that. So now he becomes a 10. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dexterity, because I'm not going to use my weapon. I have a weapon, but as long as I don't use it, I can use my 10 dice instead of my 6. And I'm also going to use my blessing. So what I'll do is recharge my blessing because it's a combat. And then that'll go at the bottom of my deck. So that gives me +1 health. And then I don't lose it. So I'll roll my D10. I rolled a 7. So I have to roll a 3 or higher to defeat this monster.
It's D10 +1, right?
Well, +1 because I also have that.
So that's an 8.
That attribute checked off on my my character sheet.
He always forgets his pluses, and I thrive on my pluses. So
yeah, so I am basically in the mindset of playing this bare bones, but I need to start paying attention to my sheet. I call that a 3. Okay, so I rolled a 3. So I had the 8 plus the 3. So I have taken care of the goblin snake. Now,
what's his ability?
Oh, before the encounter, I was supposed to before the encounter succeed at a Constitution of or Fortitude 6 check, or the difficulty of your checks is increased by 1 for the rest of your turn. So, in this case, I was lucky enough to be over that. So even if he was +1 plus the other 2, that would have made him 11,
which is what he rolled.
Is what I rolled. So this time it didn't hurt me at all. So
it's easy to forget those little things in this game sometimes.
Yeah, so it's always best to read where you're at, read the monster. I keep calling them demons, and then
read the scenario, situation, then the location, and then your card.
Yeah, and then your card to resolve the situation. But in that case, it didn't matter. And then I will draw up. I got another boot set, and now it will be back to Anna.
Okay, and I'm gonna explore my location again.
And if you...
Ooh, we got a henchman. Okay,
so I'll let her explain that, and then I'll explain what I was gonna say.
So she's a humankind, so we don't have to worry about the goblin. She's not an item, so I don't have to worry about the increase. Now hers, it says, before the encounter, Lyrie deals 1d4 -1 fire damage to you. So I roll a d4. 1 minus 1 is 0. And I will attempt to kill her with my force missile, which is going to let me roll my arcane die again. It's a d12 plus my 4. Plus I get to roll 2d4. So I already have 4. And she's a 9. So that's a 5. And that's a 9. So she's already dead. But we'll roll that. 7, you know, just put more poison to the bullet. And now she, hold on, she, as a henchman, I may immediately attempt to close this location. Now, on your location deck, it's gonna, on your location card, it's gonna tell you how to close that location. So I get to summon and defeat a Goblin Raider henchman. So you get that out of the box. This
would be the Goblin Raider, which is not usually out here. Well, there is one with our villain.
I gotta reach up. I get to recharge my spell too because I succeeded any checks to recharge arcane spells. So now for the Goblin Raider, I have an ability on my powers because I don't have anything to really use. Because he is actually a 10 because the Goblin turns 10. So this one lets me roll my arcane die, which is the d12 plus 4, plus a d6 plus 1. So I'm going to discard my blessing. And I already start with a 5 because my 4 plus my 1, and then I'm going to roll my d6 here. That's 10. He's already gone. But, you know, we like to kill things hard. So there's 18. He is dead. And this location is now closed. And then there's actually a benefit to this one. On closing, add 1d4 random weapons to this location without looking at them. Then automatically acquire the top card. Now, I'm just going to look at here to see what we had. We had a spike chain. I actually used that one time with another character that I played. That character died. You put her in the wrong section. And then goes back. So, roll my d4. Oops. Oh. It's getting away from me here. 4.
So she gets to pick 4 random cards. So we usually take the deck, and then I shuffled it, and then we'll fan it, and then she picks up whatever she needs to make it more random.
Warhammer plus 1. So that's going to let me use my strength or melee die, which my strength is a d4. It doesn't do me much good, but I'll put it here because I don't have to refill to take extra damage. These cards are now out of play, so we'll just bury them under here into the closed location.
And before she had pulled that card, she also had the option to leave a location. Now sometimes you'll have a location out here that you'll have to do something to leave and to enter a different location. But in that case, she closed the location, defeated her, and it's all said and done.
So now I'm going to refill my hand, and it's the end of my turn. So now Tim's going to turn over the blessing deck to start his turn.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to the Thessalonian dungeon. Now it really doesn't matter where I go. They all have 2 monsters. I know they all have either one henchman or the villain. I'm hoping I don't run into the villain, but we'll see what happens. Actually, I ran into a card called Detect Evil. Discard this card to examine the top card of your location deck. If it is a monster other than a henchman or villain, you may immediately encounter it. If you do not have the divine skill, banish this card. So if I acquire this card and I don't have that skill, I have to discard it or give it to her.
And I don't have the divine skill. I run on arcane, so...
So it would go away. And it's a wisdom of 4. So I have my D8 wisdom plus 1. And the plus 1 is an attribute that I picked up along the way. So we'll roll this. If it's higher than 4, well, it really doesn't matter. Neither one of us can use it. I rolled a 6, so I could get it. But it doesn't do me any good, so it's just going to go back to the box and be banished. And then that's the end of my turn. I didn't lose any health. I didn't have to use any cards. I didn't have to do anything. So that was an easy one. So now it's over to Anna.
Okay, now I'm going to move to the same location. Like we said before, we like to tackle things together.
The reason we do this is because we can get through a deck faster, and if we do run into anything at this point, now that she's at my location, now she's able to give me stuff and I'm able to give her stuff. Even if that did work for her, I couldn't give it to her.
Because I don't have divine.
That and until she was at my location.
Sanctuary. This spell is another divine spell. It's not arcane, which doesn't help me too much. But my wisdom divine, I don't have divine, so wisdom's a d6. It's a 4. I don't get it. Oh well. Goes back into the box. I could use my crow or my sage to go again, but I think I'm not gonna go again. I think I'm just gonna stay because we've got some time, and I will end my turn. So Tim, turn over the blessing deck and.
Okay, and then.
Gonna explore the location. Oh, and a henchman.
Yeah. So and he's a level 10. So.
What's his card say?
If defeated, succeed at a Charisma 5 check to search this location deck and choose a boon to add to your hand. Then shuffle the location deck. Now boons are good for you, they help you, and then banes are bad for you. So if you remember Bane being the villain in Batman, you'll remember that Banes are evil in Pathfinder. So we're going to go ahead and encounter this guy. I think I've only got a D10 for Dexterity, so I think I'm going to go to try to do a D6 roll, because I'll get 1d6, and then if I use my quarterstaff for combat, then I'll be able to roll another d6. And I'm going to go ahead and discard it and get my third d6. So, let me make a discard pile here. And then that'll give me 3 d6s to roll. I got a 6 on my first roll. And a 10. So it was good that I got that second roll. Third roll was really for insurance on me. And now that I have defeated him, I am able to try the charisma check of 5. So my charisma is a d6. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my d6 for the charisma. Let's see what I get. I got a 5. So that lets me search this location and grab a boon for myself. So I could grab a boon like a weapon, or I could grab this spell. This spell is for your combat check. Discard this card to roll your arcane die. 2d4 with the electricity trait. Now, I can't use magic, but since it's my turn, she's at my location, I'll ask her if she can use it.
Absolutely.
And if she can, I will give it to her. So that's the boon that I got, but I'm giving it to her. And then the rest of these, the darts, the barrier, the zombie, and the enchanter, they're all going back to the box.
You know you have a good hand when you have a hard time discarding something.
And then to close this, I have to succeed at an intelligence or arcane 7 check. So I may have to pull those back out of the box. So let me go to my intelligence die, which is a d6. And I have to roll a 7. And with it being 7, I can roll this, but I'm never going to hit 7 on a d6. I got a 6 on a d6, but I'm going to have to put that zombie, that enchanter, and that slashing blade back over there. So we'll mix these up. We'll put these back on here. That was a failed attempt to close the location, but nothing happens. Except for I don't get my quarterstaff back. But I do get a blessing of Aristal that is way better than having that staff. And I will roll the timer, and it is now Anna's turn.
And I get the zombie. And he is immune to mental and poison traits. And his damage is held up. And then I'm going to use that card that he just gave me. He is a 9. And so my arcane die is my 12, plus I get to do 2d4, and I automatically have the 4 to start off with. So 4, 8, 11, 16 to beat a 9. And he goes away. And then this gets recharged. And I'll let Tim go.
So we'll flip this. I'll flip this card here, and it's probably what I figured it was. This is the Enchanter, and the difficulty to defeat the Enchanter is increased by the adventure deck number of the current scenario, if any. So she's actually now a 9 because we are playing with an adventure deck. Before the encounter, the Enchanter deals 1 force damage to you. So assuming that I have 2 boots, I'm going to go ahead and just take the damage on one of my boots. So I'll still have that other piece. But I'm actually not going to do that. Now that I'm looking at my chainmail, I can recharge this chainmail, and this will reduce combat damage dealt to me by 2. So I'll flip that over. Okay, so she's still 9 though, so we'll have to play against her as a 9. So we'll get this, and then I'm going to use my Blessing of Aristotle, and I'm going to recharge that, and that's going to give me 2 dexterity die, so that gives me 3 altogether. So there's 5, and then there's 9, and then another 9, so 18. So she's definitely gone, and then after the encounter, the Enchanter deals 1 fire damage to me. So now I will lose my boots.
Boots.
And then I will go back up to my 4 cards. They give me 2 blessings, 1 of God's and 1 of Aristotle.
And now it's my turn. So flip over the blessing deck. And then this barrier is Slashing Blade. If undefeated, character at this location dealt 1d4 combat damage. And this is a Dexterity disable of 9. So I have a Dexterity of 8. And I have these Thieves' Tools, and they'll let me reveal to add 1 die to my disable check.
So that'll let her roll 2 die of the Dexterity.
And that is my D8. 8. 6. I don't take that damage. I'm glad about that.
Now she can attempt
I can attempt to close. And this has an arcane of 7. Luckily, I'm an arcane person. And that's my D12 plus 4. I already have 4. So 12. This location is now closed. And that ends my turn. I don't need to reboot any cards. And Tim's going to turn them over the top blessing deck.
Yeah, and I guess I'll put Orc away since he's gone. Yeah, top of the blessing deck. And then I'm going to go to the throne room. I'm going to leave Anna over there to be with her lonesome. And that's a light crossbow. And it's a dexterity of 4.
And then items and weapons are plus 2 for the scenario. So he is a 6.
Yes. So this is a 6 crossbow. So I have a dexterity die of a 10. So hopefully I can roll higher than 4 or 6. I rolled a 7, so I barely made it. So let's check and see what this does. For your combat check, reveal this card to roll your dexterity or range die plus 1d8. So I would get, on top of my dexterity I'm already using, I would get another d10 plus a d8 on top of that. So I'm actually going to take my light crossbow.
Go again.
And I'm going to get rid of Troubadour.
You can go again with him.
Yes, and go again with him.
You gotta explore the location deck again.
So that's going to make me go to my same location. And now I have a flaming mace that I could probably get. Maybe. No, I can't. Because it wants I have to roll a strength die. My strength die is a d6. If Anna quits hogging the dice. So I can roll this, and I got a 6.
And that's a 13.
Didn't do me any good. Yeah, that's also 13, so it didn't do me any good. So it just goes back to the box here as a weapon. And then I am going to finish my turn and let Anna go.
I can turn over the book and do it myself.
You could tell me to do so.
I'm going to explore my location. And hey, a spell! Those are good for me. This is Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, Divine of 6 check. I've got Arcane. It's already a 4. Roll my d12. I got 12. This is mine now. Discard to add 1d4 with a fire trait to a combat check using a weapon. You know, I'm going to use my crow to keep this in my hand, and I'm going to discard him to go again. Explore this location deck, and it's a monster, Goblin Pyro, and he deals me damage after my encounter with him. He's an 8. I'm going to go ahead and use that fire weapon I just acquired.
And he does not go up in damage because he's not in the Goblin Fortress, so we don't have to worry about the Goblin trait anymore. Which, where you can see this Goblin, it's got it in its name, and it is a trait right here on the side. So that one's very clear about it being a Goblin trait. Obviously he's a Goblin, but the snake was not clear. So if you want to look at the FAQs, there's a lot of information in there that clarify a lot of the rules that are a little blurry in the rule book.
Now, I didn't read this quite clearly. This actually adds damage to combat check with a weapon. And I do not have a weapon, or do I use them? So that actually doesn't do me any good. So I, with my skill, get to discard a card to roll my arcane die. And instead of discarding it, whenever I can discard it, I can actually recharge it. So that gets recharged. And then I've got my D12 plus 5 that I start off with. Barely made it with a 9. So he goes away, and then he deals me 1 fire damage. And I actually have bracers of protection that can protect me from 1 damage by recharging. So I recharge those. And redraw. And I'm going to end my turn. So, Tim?
We're suggesting, we're assuming you were in the throne room?
Yeah. Yeah, I forget to put my character.
So I get to go against the satire. Yeah, whatever. And all damage dealt by the satire or satire or
Satyr, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, he looks like the devil from Tenacious D. So pick a destiny. So I'm gonna say the devil is mental damage that may not be reduced. Okay, so I have to use dexterity and acrobatics. So I have a dexterity of a D10 on my D10. And I actually have acrobatics, dexterity plus 2. So anything I roll on the D10 automatically gets bumped up with a 2, and then a plus 1 because of my attribute. So I'm also going to recharge my Blessing of Aristotle. That gives me 2 more dexterity dice. And I'm going to recharge my Blessing of the Gods, which gives me a 4th D10 dexterity dice. So I rolled a 10. So he's dead. I don't even have to roll the other 3 dice. But I recharged those because now they're going to filter through my deck and come out, and I didn't lose any health. So he's gone. And that's going to end my turn.
So I'm going to start my turn by flipping over the blessing deck and explore my location. Oh no! Trapped passageway. If defeated, I immediately go again. If undefeated, I'm dealt 2d4 damage. So wisdom, perception, dexterity, acrobatics.
So that probably would have been a better one for me to run to because of the dexterity acrobatics.
But this is a non-combat check. I have this blessing of Callistria, and I get to discard this to add 2 dice to a non-combat dexterity. So that's 3 d8s that I get to roll. Where's my d8? There it is. So that's discarded. 4, 5, 7, not quite. So 2d4 damage. 4, 5.
So that took all of the hand that she had left. And now she has to draw out 5 new cards. And if you run out of your cards out of your deck, then that's your life counter. So if those are gone, you're gone. You have to start all over from phase 1. Now, if she's... Is it the end of your turn?
Yep. So this gets shuffled back.
Yeah.
The
so we're
barrier.
going to shuffle this back in. And if anything, I'll run into it, and it'll be fine. Here, pick one to go first on top. On the bottom, I mean. Okay. Okay, so this one's mine.
Henchman.
So I'm going against a Goblin Raider. Yeah, and this is a henchman, so if I can beat him, then I can close the... I can attempt to close it and not have to worry about that barrier. So, it's a combat of 8. So I'm going to go to my dexterity dice. And I'm going to... recharge my blessing to add 1 dexterity dice. That's all it's capable of. So that gives me 2. And I'm going to go ahead and use my light crossbow.
You can't.
Yes.
So you can add a weapon to do the other one?
Yes, because it changes to a dexterity die, which is also in the FAQ that I saw earlier today, which was confusing. So that lets me do that, and then add a d8 to myself. So that gives me 2 d10s, and then a d8. So I roll a 4, a 6. So he died anyway. But I got to use that weapon for insurance to make sure that he died. So, if defeated, you may immediately attempt to close the location. Okay, so he doesn't do anything once he's dead. So we'll go ahead and put him away. And succeed at a charisma or diplomacy 6 check. My charisma is a d6. So I have to roll a perfect 6 on this d6 to close this location. I rolled a 5, so I came up short. So that that barrier is still in there. So it'll be up to Anna whether she wants to stay there and take that, or...
Now I can close that location pretty well with a charisma, because I have a charisma as with d12 plus 1. But the blessing deck's turn, I'm not going to do anything this round because I don't want to take any more damage for that barrier.
She could not go and close that location because there is a card in the way between her and that closing.
Right. I'm just going to wait to close it because I can help him, but he can do more with that barrier. So I'm just not going to go this turn, and we'll flip over for him for the start of his turn.
Did you flip for yourself?
You flip for me.
Oh, okay. So I'll flip this over, and obviously I'm going to use my dexterity acrobatics. So that gives me a d10 plus 1. which I'm also actually I'm gonna reveal my boots of elven kind, and that's gonna add 1 die to my acrobatics. So that's a D10 that I'm gonna roll for my dexterity. So that's 7, 8, 9. So I've already beat it, and just because I revealed these, I can roll 1 more die for my acrobatics, which would have added 6 to that. So I got rid of this, and now I can attempt to charisma 1 more time. If I can't get it, then she can try for it. I got a 2, so I did not close it. So now I'm gonna allow her to try and close it.
So my charisma is automatically a D4. As a diplomacy is a D12 plus 4. So 4 plus 7. Location is closed. And was there this?
Is there anything for closing it?
Well, there's no one permanently closed, but at this location at the start of your turn may recharge an item. Does it keep that?
No. Wait, is it on the back side of the closing?
Oh, okay, never mind. It just repeats. Sometimes they say something, sometimes they don't.
Well, with it being closed, the villain can't come here.
Right.
But if you're still there, you can still do what it says on the back.
So now we get to go over, it's Tim's turn now, so he gets to turn over the top of the blessing deck, and he gets to move over to the location.
But with this being available to me, I will not be going to the new location. I'll be staying here for the start of my turn. I will recharge an item. And the reason I will do that is because if I get rid of my sage, my chances of getting a blessing for me to go over to the new location with is greater. So I'm going to
You get to recharge an item.
An item. So I'll just do my boots. Recharge that item, and then draw a blessing, which I thought I would have. And then that will end my turn.
No, I already flipped it for you.
Oh, okay. So it's Anna's turn. And she is allowed to do the same. But
I don't want to do that. So I'm going to move over to this location. And then when I encounter a monster here, I put a random monster from the box on top of another random open location. That's kind of awesome because we have closed every other location. So we don't have to do that anymore.
And while she's
flip over, long sword.
While she's over here provoking the villain and probably the other monsters that are in here, I'm going to go ahead and my next turn, I'm already planning, I'm going to stay here and get rid of my other item to try and get another blessing. And then I will be even more powerful when I go over there.
Okay, so this is a 6 check of strength melee plus 2 because of the scenario. So that's an 8. My strength is a 4. I'll roll this all day long and it's only going to be a 2. So that goes back to the box. And I'm not going to go again. I'm going to end my turn. And Tim, go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, I'm going to take my item. Go with this. And I did not get what I thought I was going to get. But it is another item, so I will continue to wait.
And ooh, a spell. This.
And the only reason I'm waiting is because I can see that we're at the last deck, and we have plenty of time left. So I'm not really putting anything at risk, and she has the option to not go into the dungeon alone.
This is an arcane die, so I already have 4 plus 12 is 2. 6, I make the check. Okay. Now this lets me This says, discard this card to choose a type of card and examine the top 3 cards of your location deck. If there are any cards of that chosen type, set them aside. Return the remaining cards to the deck, shuffle it, then put the cards you set aside together in any order, either the top or the bottom of the deck. I'm going to say villain. And I'm going to reveal the top 3 cards. And there she is. So, I get to set her aside, put these back in the deck, shuffled in any order. And I get to choose to put her at the top or the bottom. I'm pretty set up right here on my situation. And so I'm going to put her at the top.
She would put her at the top. I would have suggested putting her at the bottom because there may be other cards that we could pick up. But they're also 2 monsters, so I could see the logic of putting her on the top.
I just say I'm pretty set up right here, so I can take care of her. I get to recharge that card, so that gives me a life of 3. And then I also have my mirror image that can take my damage away for me if the die is right. So I'm gonna do that. And she goes at the top. And that is gonna end my turn. And so we'll flip this over for Tim.
And I'm going to recharge an item at the beginning of my turn. And then draw a card. And there's my other blessing that I was trying to get before I left. Now, I took that action. I am still capable of moving. Correct? No. Okay. So I will stay there. And I will be back to Anna.
Wonder what card's going to show up. There she is. Now she is, before the encounter, she deals 1d4 force damage to each character at this location. So roll my d4. It's a 3. That's okay. I'll take this. And now, I'm going to use for the 12, and I'm going to use this. It's my arcane. I already have 4, plus 2d4s. So that's 4, 8, 11. We defeated her the first time. Now this gets recharged. Now 14. So now I get to play my Frost Ray, and this is 2d6s plus my 4, so I already have 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now my d12. 10. Woo! 19. Okay, she is defeated. We have just won this scenario because she has nowhere to escape to. Every other location has been closed. And we get the loot of this. The reward is the loot. And we still have yet to determine how that works. We're trying to contact the...
Well, we tried talking to Mike Selinker, and I haven't got a reply back yet, so I'm going to try to get on the FAQs. I'm going to try to get a hold of Paizo themselves and see if we can get some answers on why there was only 1 loot card, because obviously I just ran 2 people through this scenario, and
we're not sure if that's purposeful or if there should be, like, if only 1 person can have it at a time, or what the deal is. But that is exposed. And then we also, because we completed, this was the last scenario of the Burnt Offerings Adventure Pack, we get the reward there, and we each get a card feat, which is really awesome because I gained some awesome spells in that round, in that delve, and I can add 1 to my deck. So that's the gameplay here.
Now all we have to do is wait for the expansion, or we can go back through old scenarios. We just cannot get the same rewards, like gain a feature or whatever. Once those features are taken out of those rewards, you have to wait till the next one to get it. But you can still gain loot, or not loot, but you can still gain other things. Like I may go and run
items and spells and allies.
Which I will probably go and run solos to get blessings, because that's what I need most for my character. And then that way I'll be stronger than I am now for the next expansion. And that is it for our gameplay. I'm glad that we won, and now we're going to be waiting for the next expansion. And we hope to bring you a video on that as soon as it breaks out and gets released. So we'll take you on to our conclusion.